Oh, got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, back.
Okay, you can start over. We're good now.
We good? Okay, we're going to start over. We've established a quorum. I'm calling this meeting to order. And I wanted to greet everyone and tell you that our meeting today is going to be one of the, I hope, a few that we have to help us meet our requirement for the state's criteria for the new policy. In lieu of that, me trying to explain that, I have asked Cecilia, and we'll talk to her in just a few moments. Is there anyone that wants to speak? If you've signed up, anyone?
It was kind of hard to know if you wanted to speak because we didn't really know what the policy was going to, like what we were exactly discussing. But we can always, if we have something at the next meeting, we can bring it up.
Okay, that'll be fine. All right. So anyway, yes, at every meeting that we have, it's open to the public. If you want to sign up and speak to any issue, you can. Now, what I'd like to do right now, and thank you all for coming, appreciate it, is I'd like to introduce you to Cecilia. All of our people here know her. A motion to accept the agenda, yes. I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, Cecilia Maynard is she's our regional director, and she's going to explain to us what we are in the process of doing now. She's talked to the board before, and what I would like to do is, after she gives her presentation or whatever, however you want to do it, is fine. This is very informal. Yeah. Then we're going to discuss what she said, our policies, and what we are looking at as a model for us meeting these requirements. So you have the floor.
Okay, so I'll just talk a little bit about, kind of go through what I said to the board a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
So being part of the regional library system, we have something called the library service agreement that the library signs every year. And it's usually one of those documents that kind of go through. It just lists a few items that the library board needs, the library needs to do in order to meet certain requirements that we have. And that hasn't changed, except this year we have included a couple of more requirements when it comes to policies. We've taken out a couple of the policies that we already mentioned in the service agreement, but we're saying that these two policies need to be reviewed every year, and the board needs to sign and say that we have reviewed it. And those two policies are the Internet Safety Policy and the Collection Development Policy. And usually what we do as the regional system is that we tell the libraries, you need to have all these policies in place, because that makes it for a good library, good operations of a library. We usually don't have any opinions necessarily about what needs to be in it, or we might have guidance on it, but we don't specify it. This time we are adding that into the service agreement. We're saying you need to have a collection development policy that includes certain things that we think makes for a good and robust collection development policy. And the reason for it is that we have seen several challenges on different types of books. And we also realized in that, especially this year, that we get a lot of challenges, which is great. I mean, we're a public space, we expect people not to agree with everything. But a lot of libraries haven't been prepared for that. So the collection development policy hasn't just not been ready for that. And some libraries haven't had what we call a reconsideration form, which is what you would give a patron when they come in and say, why do you have this book on the shelf? And libraries were just like, we don't know what to do, you know, that kind of stuff. So this is kind of taking a step further and saying you need to have a good collection development policy, and you need to have a process for that when somebody does come in and challenge. And also just kind of saying that this is to be expected. It's not, and it's nothing new, but we've been seeing more and more of it lately, so it's just a reaction to that. So in the service agreement this time, we've added an attachment with a few criteria what we think that collection development policy should include. So there's a list of 6 different items. So we're asking each library board and library to review that this fall, go through it, work on the policy, look at some examples from other libraries that have already done it, discuss and figure out how does this work for you, how can you make sure that these things are in the policy. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you will take this document and say, okay, the state is saying, you know, listing these 6 items, we're just going to copy and paste it, because I don't think that necessarily is the best thing. Some of these sentences you might just want to copy and paste because it's, you know, it's easy, but there are a few of these, especially when it comes to procedures, how you want to do certain things, that you probably want to just discuss here. And also what we found, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions about this, which is good, but what we found that there are a few things in here that maybe you can interpret slightly differently. So one of the items listed is that the library board should review all books, all purchased books, and because we're librarians, we're very literal. Like that means this. So that means that, you know, when Gabby puts an order in with Ingram, she would forward that email to the board. That's kind of what we were thinking at the beginning when we saw this. This means that. But after discussing it back and forth, we thought this is not very practical, and I'm sure the board doesn't want to see all the emails that you're getting from your vendors. So one way to deal with that is just say, well, everything that is being cataloged, you know, maybe every quarter or something, that you would just run a report and send that report to the board so that they have it in the email, and they can look through it and you know, and see what's going on with that, just to make sure that the board is aware of what's in the collection. I can kind of go through the list really quickly.
Sure.
So the first one is just saying that in the policy, it needs to say something like, we are selecting books based on our collection development. So just kind of a general statement. The second one is that the collection development policy is approved every year by the board, which is also, you know, not difficult. All books selected for purchase by the individual library through the regional library system or otherwise are reviewed by the public library director before purchase, with the library director sharing that list with the board. So that's when it comes down to procedure. So the library director, so that should be in the policy, that the library director is reviewing every book. And I think they're already doing it. So, I mean, that's another thing here. This is nothing new. There are very few directors that say, I had no idea I had this in the collection. That doesn't happen very often. So this is just kind of putting it in black and white, saying that we are doing this. This is part of our job. We're not we're not blaming somebody else for a book that maybe will be challenged later. And then sharing that with the board, which will be, again, I think would just be a report from TLC saying, you know, these are the books we cataloged in March and April. That kind of stuff. Something like this, probably. Yeah. The fourth one says no funds received are used to purchase, nor will the library otherwise acquire material that constitutes child pornography, pornographic for minors, or is obscene. So this is kind of highlighting a law that is already in place. So you would never do this anyway. I mean, if you did, you would that would be a mistake, and you would take that out. For this one, and I have another policy with me, you can put that wording in your policy, or you can refer to the law. That might be an idea, and I know that that's what Clarksville has decided to do because they didn't want to put that wording necessarily.
Yeah.
You're just you're highlighting that you're following the law, basically. The fifth one is talking about the fact that when you catalog your books, so I can read it out. Books and materials that contain sexual themes or content are reviewed by the public library independently for age appropriateness and cataloged accordingly, even if this overrides the age appropriateness recommended by the publisher. So really, all that means is that when Gabby buys a book, and it might be cataloged or it might be recommended by the publisher as being a juvenile book, Gabby is not necessarily going to say, oh, they're telling me that this is juvenile, I'm putting this into juvenile. She will independently, and she already does this because she's told me this several times, put it where she thinks it needs to be. So if it is something that is not appropriate for juvenile, she will put it in a different section. So that's just highlighting something that I think is good procedures anyway. And then the sixth one is talking about the reconsideration form itself, that you have a form ready for patrons to take home and fill out, and then you have also listed out how that procedure will be. So when the patron takes that home, they know what's going to happen. It might be that it will go to Gabby first, or it might go directly to the board. That's going to be up to you how you want to do that. But that's the sixth one. So that's just talking about the reconsideration form itself. And I think the policy I sent you had an example of it.
Yes.
And we also have other examples of that. So we'll be here to support you in whatever you do. But I think for me, I just want to make sure that these items are in here, however you want to interpret it. And I'm sure you will figure out a good way to do it. And Johnson City is a good one. I think it's missing one thing, but it's still it's a good one. And I also brought with me a couple of examples from Clarksville. They just did theirs, and I haven't been able to look through it very carefully, but I know they had their attorney look at that. Anyway, so that's all.
That's one thing we need to do also, is have our attorney look at it.
I think that's a really good idea. That you have your county kind of approve whatever you're deciding. So whenever you finish with the draft, that he looks at it, and then obviously he will get this document. If he doesn't already have it, he will have this.
Is that's on the website or on
this library service agreement? No, I think I sent it to the board, and I think I brought this to paper.
I didn't know. I'm just asking.
But I can
somebody else.
I can resend it to you guys, but I don't think it's on the website.
I had it and I shared mine, but my question mainly was for the public if someone wanted to see that.
I mean, I have a copy. I scribbled on it a little bit, but if someone wants to pick it up.
Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Cecilia?
You said you think Johnson City's great, but it's missing one thing.
Well,
what's that one thing? Don't hide it from us.
And I might be wrong, and I'm being like on camera now, so I might be wrong.
No one watches.
Nobody watches, so that's good. So this one was a policy that went kind of through the state library, and they said this is great. I think the one that we were talking about when number 4.
Okay.
But I might be wrong. And I'm also going to see exactly what Clarksville, how they dealt with that, because I think they're just referring to the law there and not putting that word in.
I think so too.
Anyway, but
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, that was the one I thought we might use as a model. So if you find anything else, let us know.
Yeah, I definitely will, and I want to make sure. I got this yesterday night, so I want to make sure that this one is good maybe to use as an example too, but I haven't reviewed it enough, and the state librarian hasn't seen it.
I understand, because I think we're all sort of wading through this. and making sure we do it
Yeah,
correctly.
and if you already have a policy, which I'm assuming you do,
Yeah.
since it's probably not going to be terribly difficult to fit this in, and some of it is already probably there, maybe.
Okay, that's, if you have, do you have anything else you wanted to,
I don't think so. I mean, I'm, like I said, I have to leave at noon, but.
and you feel free, we understand completely. I'm happy to.
Is our current policy, is that online somewhere?
Yeah, we sent that out. I think Amy sent those out. If you didn't get them, we will send them again.
No, again, I was just thinking about the public and anybody else that wants to see our current
I
policies.
think that's on our.
It is, but it is outdated, the one that's on the website.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be my first
Yeah, it's good to
thing.
have policies on the website. That's
Yeah.
But it's also listed on the system page, which no
About us.
longer
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
to be.
Okay.
And I have tried, I have emailed, I don't know what we need to do to get that reassigned somewhere to.
I would
You
think
know.
it would go under departments, under libraries.
And if you could get that, to take it off of that page that's no longer, nobody checks and gets it, just send it to
Right.
each one of the library's
Yeah.
pages. And I'll try to get them.
Well,
get
that's
a
one of
ticket
the
for that,
things that
yeah.
I wanted to talk about today before we get into the nitty gritty. Looking over our policies, we do have a lot of work to do, a lot. After I saw this Johnson City Public Library model, that I keep calling it that, but it's succinct, it's simple, anybody could read it, I think, and understand. And looking through ours, they're very wordy, and, you know, I think those are things that we're gonna have to look at when we even get to our other policies. You have something to say?
Just a few clarifying questions. One, are we on new business or are we on discussion at this point in time?
Well, it's under new business.
Okay, so are we on discussion now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then two, so I know we discussed, we're discussing the Johnson City, and I did find some stuff that I had some disagreements with and some concerns with. And I actually did take Johnson City's and ours and some stuff that I looked up and kind of created something. Do you mind if I pass it out?
No, go right
Okay.
ahead. That's what we're doing right now, is talking about all of
Okay.
this.
So,
I think what I was saying though, is I looked through all of these policies, it's so wordy. And for instance, we had someone to ask to see a policy. Well,
Which
what we're
version?
doing today is, so, you know, we're trying to bring this all together, so we're not really just talking about one policy. We're talking about quite a few that we're gonna be putting together, and I hope in a simple.
these are the same thing, they're just not stapled, sorry.
Just down, what's there, say?
I'll be glad to give, if someone needs it stapled, and I'll take a unstapled.
This one isn't stapled.
If somebody wants one that's stapled.
Does everyone have a copy?
Did y'all get one?
We're
You don't-
sharing one
yeah.
on here. If you have an extra.
You should have, there was 11 copies made, so, oh, maybe, I have one.
She's hiding it.
I'm hiding it. So this is something that I looked through Johnson City, I looked through ours, and then I did some other just digging in, and so I felt that some of the stuff that even in our draft stuff was a little bit wordy and a little bit vague, and I wanted to tighten it up. And then also, you will see in here, there is a, where is it at? Okay, on page 3, a policy for protecting children from harmful sexually explicit material in areas designated for minors, which I know that is something that Tennessee annotated code that we are putting in place. is really going to be addressing. So if you want, I can just go through and read it, and we can kind of, well, unless we're here to do, right? We're here to discuss, and we're here to read. So, you know, as far as the purpose, the primary goal of this policy is to present an official statement of the Sumner County Public Library's commitment to a collection that attempts to meet the needs of the public it serves. It serves both to guide the library and to inform the public about the principles upon which selection and maintenance decisions are made. The scope of the collection is intended to offer a choice of format, treatment, and level of difficulty so that needs of the individual library users can be met. I thought that was pretty to the point. So if you'll look through,
Can I ask you one thing?
go right ahead.
So on this that you've put together, did you go through all the 6, or is this just our 2 policies that we were going to talk about today?
This is policy 2.0 and policy 2.1,
Okay.
whatever the,
Okay, gotcha.
the other one was.
2.01.
The 2.01,
Yeah,
yes.
no big deal.
Except I don't think that it, yep, 2.01, censorship and access. So, there is, influencing factors. I put that in there, the tools. Made sure that harmful to minors or will impede their development. This also is to ensure that no books or materials go against TCA 391794. I made sure to put that in there on page 4. I didn't change a lot. It has to do with the donations, but I did want to talk about that as far as on page 5. You know, and this is something that I'm getting used to. The library reserves the right to use or dispose of all donated materials as they become property of the library once donated. The Friends of the Library organization may have first right to review resources not selected for this collection. The Friends may identify items that can be sold at their book sales, which are a primary fundraiser for the library. Now, this is something that I wanted to ask if we should put in, you know, as long as it doesn't go against, you know, the harmful, you know, to minors, because we don't want it being sold at a book sale if it's something we're not even going to put in our collection. So,
Can I ask a question about this section? And I've actually
Which
emailed you
section?
about this before, the artwork being
oh
donated.
yes,
Because I asked you last year, I think, about long-term loans for arts and needing a policy for that, because I don't believe our current one does cover that.
correct. Yeah.
But I don't, if it's in here in donations that we don't take, that would be bad for us. We take donations, we have artwork you can check out that was donated to us.
Okay, so you're wanting to put it in the donations
Yes, I would like to be able to accept donations of artwork.
of artwork? Okay. So that's something that we'll have to add.
Add that in.
And then we'll have to define artwork and but also
Loans and gifts.
loans and gifts. Okay? Okay. Also, the memorials, I wanted to ask this too, and that's on page 6. The library often receives donation gifts in memory of a family member or a loved one. Monetary memorial donations go directly to the Friends of the Library organizations of the designated branch. If the donor chooses to have book given from the memorial, print title will be selected for them. My question here, and this might be for you, Cecilia, because I have not dug into this. You know, not every branch has a Friends of the Library organization.
They do.
Hmm?
All of us
Yes,
do.
we do. All of.
Oh, all of us
Yes.
do? I thought that Westmoreland didn't.
No,
Oh, you
Westmoreland.
did? Okay. All
And
right.
a couple of them have a Friends of the Library group, and they also have a foundation. That
That's
are
what I
two
was trying
different
to say.
things.
That's what, I
Yeah.
guess.
The foundation's
The
different.
foundation
Okay,
is
that's
different
what
from
I-
the Friends of the
that's-
Library.
Okay, so,
And I think we need to make note they're not branches. They are.
yes.
Independent
That's
libraries.
what
And that's
that's
important.
another thing that, I was knowing, because this was definitely written under the system, not under what we're at right now. And I know there were some things that we needed to go and look, okay.
Yeah, because we have two sets here. This is what is outdated, but it's currently the one we're governed by.
Yeah.
This one was a rough draft that never made it to the table.
Correct.
No.
And this is something that, I took a
You took it from both
combination
of them.
of both.
Okay.
So, my question here for Cecilia is, the monetary, is there a reason why it has to go to the Friends of the Library?
Yeah, I think that's I think it's because it's a 501c3, and it probably also has something to do with the county and their rules. I
If
would
we
imagine,
get
but it's-
donations directly to the library, it goes straight in the general fund, and we
for the
can't ask
county.
for it at all, it's gone.
So that's-
Because that would increase our budget that the county gave us, so we lose it completely if it comes to the library.
So that,
Okay.
that's common.
Okay,
Common,
I'm
and
just,
we're happy when the friends can take that, so they don't have to worry about
Okay.
those types of gifts.
but what I learned with the new thing at the trustees is that the Friends of the Library should be actually in conjunction and alignment with our long-term goals.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great if the friends were,
Well, that's what it says.
yeah,
In there.
but it's not always I mean, sometimes, the friends come to board meetings so they are aware and the board is aware of what's happening and that kind of stuff. So I always think that's a good idea for the friends to come and give a short report and say, this is what we did, we have this book sale, we got in this much money, this is, we've been giving this to Gallatin because, this is how we're choosing to spend our money so that you guys are aware when you eventually start working on your long range plan, then, the friends are at the table.
But can we mandate that?
I think that's a good idea because it shouldn't be super separate like yours.
Okay.
Can we mandate that? Or is
I mean,
that
I don't
just
think
a
you can
suggestion?
mandate. I think it's just like you can invite and say, we'd
Hopefully
love to
they'll
hear
come.
from you, but I don't think
But,
that's something.
but I do want to visit that because the stuff that I learned with this is that the Friends of the Library are actually supposed to be in talks with the directors and find out what the needs of the library are, and therefore are supposed to be in conjunction with the board's libraries. So I just want to make sure that that's what's happening and that as they get monetary things, that it is in conjunction with what our
just nice
libraries
to
need.
You want the money to go towards what policy.
Yeah.
And I don't know about y'all, but any big grants we get, I tell y'all about in my reports every month.
Yeah.
I'm very, we put a lot of work into trying to be very clear about what money we're spending in the building.
I'm not
Yeah.
not talking about you. I'm talking about the Friends of the Library, and that's what I'm referring to.
But they're a completely separate entity from the
Because they
library and
are.
the county.
Correct.
They're the-
get
So they're
that.
kind of like on the sideline. So I can tell you in Clarksville, they have the president there comes and talks and she would say, well, we took in $600 for a book sale. And they might say, we bought a popcorn machine to the library or something like that. And it's just kind of it's just nice to hear what they're
Okay.
doing.
So what I'm getting to here is that in this memorials, if they're doing a donation, is there anything that we can put around here that the money that goes to the Friends of the Library, that it be somewhere in conjunction with the needs of the library, more specific? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, so I was going to actually say something for a second, because I want to make sure, because what I'm hearing her say is actually very supportive of the libraries. And I think she's actually trying to say, ask questions of how we can make sure, are there ways that we can make sure that Friends of the Library are actually supporting you guys the way that you need? And I think, am I hearing that right? Because
But I also think this comes into whether you trust us as directors and why would we
Okay.
have a friends group that doesn't support us?
I think that's a different conversation.
Okay.
I literally am hearing, because of what we've seen come through and things like that, what's going on in different places. We're just trying to make sure that you guys are supported. So I hear you defending something
But we are
that is actually
completely
being supported.
Yeah.
So, is that
That
correct?
is exactly what we're trying to do.
Because I'm hearing two conversations going on and wanting to make sure we get on the same page.
Yes.
Because it doesn't sound like it is.
So let us stop here just a second.
Yeah.
So we've got clarity here. You're asking for what in this right here? What is your wording that you want?
So that is the wording that I'm talking about for the committee members to come up with. That we can make sure that if someone is going to donate to the library, they're donating to the library, not the Friends of the Library. And that to make sure that the money that is donated to the library, even though it is going to the friends of the library, it is made sure to be used for the benefit that the director needs. Does that make sense? Is that pretty clear?
Well, I think that I would assume when somebody wants to give money or something donated, that is clear that this is going to the Friends of the Library. And the Friends of the Library, unless it's a friends group that is not working, which happens sometimes. But they're separate entities. So unless they're not following their mission, then that money will go to the library.
But some people don't follow their mission. And so this is where we're trying to put in our policy, so that we can make sure to ensure that if the public is going to donate, that we have some type of something in here that says, hey, and if a Friends of the Library thing isn't working, what do we do in that position? What do we do in?
Well, you don't. I don't think you have any power over that friends group. That will be a separate. Because you're not in charge of the friends group. That's
Correct.
their own entity, and if they're not following that, when they set up the 501c3, I would assume that they would be in trouble with somebody else if they're not following their bylaws and their mission in supporting the library. Because that should be there.
And the thing that I want to be careful of in anything that we write is that we don't alienate. I mean, I think that whatever we word, we have to say it in such a way that we know that our friends are supporting us, because by and large, I don't really know of any that don't.
Yeah.
But if there's some protection here that we need, but whatever, we don't have power over those.
No, it's just kind of I like everyone to be on the same page, because it's nice to hear, and you have all this amazing group of people that are supporting the libraries, and they're giving all this, their time and provide, gifts, fun little things to them.
And please, I'm not trying to alienate. I'm trying to make sure to ensure and because I know people, things have happened, people donated and it wasn't used, which that person had thought they donated it for. So I'm just trying to see if we can put some type of, and this is something we can come back to. I'm just trying to protect the library directors and the libraries to make sure.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion then that we look at this and come back to this.
That's perfect.
And the friends, I know my friends group has policies around that exact issue that I think might be valuable for y'all to see.
Yeah.
That's another thing we can do, is talk to these friends. see what
Right.
we do and find
And
out.
I think the only time that we could possibly intervene was if they were doing a fundraiser or something that violated our policy or the policy under which they work. So we could, I think, at that point intervene,
Well,
but they've got to be violating a policy.
And I think you can use, because Joanna was at the trustee workshop, and Kathy Julie Smith was there and gave a presentation, and I think they are just a really great resource to use, for the friends group. If the friends group if they have any issues, they can contact her, and they have consultants that go out and help them.
Those are the things that you sent out in the email, right? Those are really good. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, but they are, again, they're separate from so
Right.
we don't really,
Yes.
I like them and I think it's great, but that we don't have any power over them, and neither does the board really. So but it's an interesting question, I guess.
and just to clarify, I'm not asking to have power over them. I'm saying even we could enter in, of course I don't have it with me, some of their, I do have it, okay. Some of their stuff into this policy, such as, of course I don't have the 101. But anyways, I have an ethics thing that says that, to use in accordance to the library director. So that's some language like we could even take from their policy and put it in there to ensure that that's what we're going along with. Does that make sense? So,
I think I would need to learn a little bit more about it, because I'm not sure if
I'm sorry,
feel
what?
like, I don't think I want to have an opinion,
She needs
because I
to
don't
hear
think I
more,
really
so-
understand.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's why I think
well,
we really
yeah.
need to.
And I think,
come back to
and
that.
this is just something also I understand that I get this, but I'm just trying to give food for thought on how to make sure to clarify what we mean in this. So anyways, so that's just a thought. And then I put in here, you have the archives and the local history and genealogy, large print duplicates, the recommendation for purchase, and then the weeding I put in here. I don't know. Oh, okay.
Our husband's had surgery, so she has
Oh,
that.
no,
Yeah.
that's okay. I just didn't know where it was
Yeah.
coming from.
It's on Bible.
Yeah, no problem. And it talks about, defining the policies protecting children from harmful sexually explicit material. And then current standards this is where I went on level 8, on page 8, at the bottom. It says current standards for level 5 libraries call for a minimum of 5% collection to the weeded yearly and minimum 5% to be added. So is there a minimum for level 4, 3, 2, and
I
1?
think that's actually the same for all levels.
Is
Yeah,
it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
you can just take that,
Okay.
that level part
Current
out.
standards
Yeah.
for libraries, okay. And it says, for this to happen, resource relevancy, currency, talks about the library integrated service. And then, it just talks there. And then the censorship and access. And this is the challenges to collection content on page 9. Of course, we welcome it. It put that a patron of the library, a parent, legal guardian of minor, patron of the library, and a Sumner County resident all can request reconsiderations. It talks about we must bring it first to the library director. The director, of course, is trying to resolve it. They have to, if it doesn't resolve, request for reconsideration. And then the director will notify the board. And then it also, the form is returned. The director will retrieve reviews of the material in question. The director will make preliminary determination of whether material should be withdrawn or retained in the collection, blah, blah, blah. Attention to whether the material violates the library collection development policy on protecting children. And then the library board will consider the citizen's request for reconsideration at its next regular meeting. And then it says request for consideration procedure for appeals to the library board. And then I have the whole appeal hearing and all that. And I really do believe, I know that people don't like to be wordy, but in this day and age, I think that if we are as precise and as clear as possible, it will make for things to go smoother.
You also mentioned managers in here quite a bit instead of directors.
I tried to find all the managers and I tried to cross it with directors. So like I said, this is just a draft. So we can take all managers out there and put directors in there.
But this does not include all the 6 items, does it? Or did you go by?
To my knowledge, it does. It says all materials are selected by the public library in accordance with the individual public library's full collection development policy. The purpose, collection development. The public library's collection development is approved by the public library's board of trustees. That's us. All books selected for purchase by the individual public library through regional or system. I did not put in there that you have to put in that I did forget to put in there that it has to be
What about the
presented to us.
directors going over the list before it's sent? That's something that they're saying, and I don't see it in here.
That's something you're right.
It is,
I did not
okay.
put that in there yet. You're right. No funds received, that's in there in the selection process. It can't go against anything that is Tennessee annotated. I put that in there. Books and materials that contain sexual themes. Put that in there with a child, with a sexually policy of protecting
Well,
children.
I wanted to ask you about that, because why would we put all of that in there?
Because it's specific and to the point.
I don't think we need it. I
Oh,
mean,
I
that's
do.
just my opinion.
I believe that we
If it's gonna be
absolutely
on a
need to.
website where everybody can get to,
Yeah.
I would have, I mean, anybody can get to it, even the children we're trying to protect. And there it is in black and white.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with
So,
that.
yeah, I mean, I think that if we do the law, and then the way it's worded here in the suggestions, you know, it doesn't use that specific language, but it makes its point.
I
You
don't
know,
think
I
it
mean-
really makes its point, and the
I
reason
know.
being is because there's so much challenge going around this, and people are trying to decide what is obscene and what isn't obscene. And this lays it out as to what is obscene and what isn't obscene, and what we believe is harmful to children.
But if it's on the library's website and a child clicks on it, there it is.
Okay, but here's the thing is that saying penis or vagina or anus is not doing a sexual act. It is just stating what an anus is, and it's not describing a sexual act.
But you have touching and contact between, and to me, that sounds like the actual acts of.
It's not the actual act.
I just don't think, it's just my personal opinion, I just don't think that's necessary. I think we
I'm
need
not
to.
comfortable having it on the website.
We refer to the law, and then the directors are the ones that go through these books.
I mean, they know what they're looking for.
Yeah, but I get they know what they're looking for. Were you going to say something, Jen?
Well, I was trying to pull up the law to see if the language is in there. I'm not having much success. So we might be
So,
boxing with ghosts. a little bit.
actually, something else that is on the law, if you want to look up this, hold on 1 second, let me make sure that I don't lose more pages here.
391794, right?
Yes, so this is,
What's the number of town?
no,
It says 391794. Look at you. Come on.
She's the bone.
Thanks, Anita. Excuse me. Sorry.
Ask and you shall receive.
so this is, in Hendersonville, it says harmful to minors means the quality of any description, exhibition, presentation, or representation in whatever form or nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, or sadomasochist abuse when the material performance taken as a whole is the following characteristics. And it talks all about or performance as a predominant tendency to appeal to purest interests of sex in minors. The average adult person applying contemporary, it says sexual conduct, sexual excitement, sadomasochistic abuse. It even talks about bestiality in here. Oh, it says sexual conduct means acts of masturbation, homosexuality, sexual intercourse, physical contact in a person's clothed or unclothed genitals, pubic area, buttocks, or if such person be female breast.
And so we could just refer to that.
This is, no. If
We don't have to put that in our
If this is
policy.
on public view, and you can find this on the internet for Hendersonville, then that means a child can find this, right? And this must have been approved by an attorney.
Is that on Sumner County's website?
Oh, it's on Hendersonville's website.
Then that's all we have to put is refer to
No,
that or for the
but we
solicitor.
don't have to. Here's what I'm
Is it the city
saying.
website or the public library?
It is on
website?
the public city website.
And I
Yes.
say, let them go there and find it, and not go on our website and find it.
But what I'm saying is that if it's already in public view, I'm not gonna make a public person have to go seek it out. That's not right.
But you don't want children, don't you want children to not have to go seek it? Like, not make it quite as readily available to them? I thought we were
Okay.
trying to make it simpler and,
Being concise and to the point of what constitutes a sexual act is not creating a scenario that causes arousal or is writing about that sexual
says
act.
who?
Says the law.
And they say it, so why do we have to repeat it when we're
Because-
referring to
And who
them?
made this up? Where did this come from?
I found it on the website as far as when it comes to this and sexual.
So this
In
is
Tennessee?
a law somewhere?
It doesn't matter if it's Tennessee or not. And yes, and I did find it in part of Tennessee, yes. So, here's.
Then we need to just refer to that law. I'm sorry, I just am totally against putting anything like this in our policy. I just have to tell you that for a fact. Now, I don't mind referring back to these laws where they already are. Our public is pretty smart. And most of them, by and large, are educated enough.
Did it
that
take
they
you a
can
minute to
find
find
it.
the Tennessee TCA?
What Anita had is a different section, right, so I was looking at 94, and that's 11, if I remember. Right,
Oh, did
so
I
I still
write the
don't,
wrong one?
It's on LexisNexis.
Because I took it off of Trey
So-
Haggert's.
so I'm sorry, is it 11 or 94? Okay. Is the one
I
you
took
gave
it
me,
off
that's it, right?
of-
So it's,
This says TCA 39-1794.
that's what this says.
Nine
What is
11,
this?
yeah.
What is this?
And I
That's
took
11.
it.
So is that different, like, does
That's
94
what this
exist?
is, right? Yeah.
Is 94 an actual thing, or is it did we mistype it?
I may have mistyped it.
That's okay.
So, because I took it off of Trey Haggert's policy.
So does
Where
it
is it
mean
at?
39, 17, 11? Is that what that was?
That would be 11. If there is a 94 that more further explains all this, I think that's worth reviewing to see if, it doesn't contain some of the stuff.
Okay.
I'm not sure all of that does. Yeah.
See if I can find out the letter that came with it.
Okay.
Thank you. Is at. Okay. Okay. I took it off of the memorandum on July 17th, 2023
Great.
of Trey Haggart, Secretary
Cool.
of State, and said borrowed funds are purchased or other materials are harmful to minors. See Tennessee Code annotated 914, sorry.
914. Okay, that's all right.
Pardon me, sorry
No,
about
no sweat. So there is a
Yes,
piece,
914.
there's a part of the code that we're not seeing.
I
which-
apologize.
That's okay. No.
So,
Any
again,
other thoughts?
I think one upside I'm taking from all this is that nobody wants this in front of kids.
No.
Yeah, like this material in front of kids. How we choose to express that, I think, is a topic worthy of our debate in time. But I'll take that as a win, that nobody wants books that describe this to children. Or that, that we're not a place that puts this in front of kids. And so I think we're halfway to where we want to be.
But I think this is huge. So we really are gonna have to come to an agreement on what we want in our policy as far as wording. And, a lot of this is really good, Joanna, but I think we can,
make the same point without being quite this graphic.
yeah. And some of this, we need to maybe just cut down a little bit, because it's almost as much as
So-
just back here.
again, if it's in Tennessee annotated, Tennessee
Statutes.
Code annotated, oh my gosh, and it's on the Hendersonville.
This is not on the Henderson bill.
No, what I read you was even worse than this.
Not really. This is
Okay.
a description of what to do. I'm sorry, that is just not appropriate.
So
If you've ever dealt with fifth grade boys, when the hormones are raging, this will absolutely.
As a former fifth grade boy, I'm listening.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I did that for 31 years,
Sure.
that
Okay.
if they read this, they might as well check out the book that describes, I mean, this is as graphic as it,
And that's what I'm trying.
and they're, you know, I just think that if you think about get into the mind of what we're trying to protect, this isn't protecting them.
I hear the heart of what you're saying for sure. And
For sure.
I agree with the heart of what you're saying.
Mhm.
I don't agree with that this is just as graphic, because I've read some of the graphic that is nowhere close to this. So like I hear what's trying to be protected, but I also hear what's trying to be protected from this writing.
But I don't want it on the internet where they go click and
I
there
mean,
it
like,
is.
we can discuss, we can keep discussing, and we can find a place to agree, but I think the biggest deal is that we want to protect. I don't think this is to create, and we can work on this, but I don't think that this is to create the heartache and the damage. I think this is to protect further damage of books that do have things that are so much more graphic than these scientific words. So, I mean, we can chat, but this is not as graphic. It's not as graphic.
I don't want any of it.
I agree.
Here or in the books, whatever. I mean, and of course, I go back to our directors. They have done an excellent job of looking through those books, making sure, I mean, I've been to the libraries except for 2 of you. I don't have to go there. And everything that I've seen, they're very protective. And I want to make this simple, so that when somebody, like a person that says, I want to know what the policy is, they can just go in there and just read what we stand for. This is extremely detailed in some areas, and that right there, I would be embarrassed as a trustee, and I can't tell. I'm just being honest, not trying to offend anybody. You're my friends, but I don't. And I guess everybody will just have to decide yay or nay when it comes down to our vote. We're not going to vote today on that. It's just moving forward. But I think we do need to think long and hard about that. And we're running out of time. So would it be okay if we just take some time, take a deep breath?
Because we just got this
Yeah.
today too, so yeah.
And I'll send you
And there may
guys
be some
a
other
copy.
people that are going to present something as well, so, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying I'll send it to the whole board
Okay.
as well to take a look at.
Well, we need to vote first in committee before you do that, I think, because there may be some other people that have some suggestions on what they want written out. So as a committee, let's look at all of them first, and then vote.
Did you guys have any suggestions?
Well, I'm working on some things.
Oh, okay.
And that, anybody on the committee can, you're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, I want to read the Tennessee statute first, see if we're being redundant, you know. see-
And I want the attorneys to look at it.
Sure. I think in Joanna's defense, you know, some of the stuff is actually in children's books. And so writing a policy that says this is prohibited, you know, it may seem a bridge too far. I think we could all find agreement that, man, it's a shame that we're here.
It is.
Yeah.
But I do want to
Yeah.
say, and I'm going to speak for all of us, and I hope y'all forgive me, we go so far beyond taking these things out of children's
Sure.
that we could be accused of censorship. We are more cautious than we should be as librarians, and just know that we have the children's. I'm arguing about the language still, but we are desperate to keep our community safe. We're so far that people will judge us and think we're doing wrong.
Yeah.
So I just want y'all to know that.
Oh, and I don't think this is a reflection of that. If anything, I
It
think,
infers it.
oh, really? Well,
I do take it that way. Yeah,
if I can offer,
yeah.
that I think this provides some shield of liability that says, hey, this is the policy, and you as the individual directors are supporting the policy, and that you're not out there rogue, and that you can then point the finger back to the trustees.
Exactly.
I did not take that at all, that there's a lack of trust or cooperation by the directors, at all,
Okay.
my friend, yes, at all.
And I do like
More
the,
of just a definition.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's meant to be a definition because a lot of people are taking and creating definitions, and that is why I wanted to make sure that, and this is to protect the directors.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
all.
this is what I'm doing. It's not a don't trust. This is to protect, because what is going on today is that people are challenging books. And we are trying to put something in definitions so that you will have a direct
And we appreciate
reference.
that.
So there is nothing about the trust. This is what we're supposed to do as the board. Is we're supposed to create policies to actually guide and protect the directors. So
And set precedent. It's not a personal thing, it's a setting the precedent.
So,
I'm
I
sorry,
will,
go
I
ahead.
will say that as far as the descriptions, it does, like I was saying earlier, it does define it. I don't like seeing it. I'm not gonna probably read a book about that because I read about dinosaurs, but if somebody came to me and said, this book contains sexual activity, it does give me something to go back and go, okay, well, it does contain these things, rather than me trying to, on the moment, define what sexual activity is based on my experiences with that as a 47-year-old woman, not a 5-year-old child playing on the internet. So I'm going to read it different, and also because I have children, but it does give us a starting point of getting a clear definition, so when we are dealing with these, we can look at it and determine, is it actually containing this, or is it not? And, in context though.
Well, let's do this because we need to move on, because I'd like for you to be able to go through and show us what, the other things that you said. We'll come back to this. We need to have some more study on that. So, you go ahead and,
Okay, so as far as the 2.0 or whatever, or
wherever you want to start.
oh, I was just talking. Sorry, we went through the reading, the leading. There is, the special collections. I didn't change much about that. Duplicates. I didn't change much about that. The leading.
Under the reading, can we actually put something in there about using the crew manual? Because that is a great reference manual for all directors.
It's
to use
something
the
we're
crew.
already
Yeah.
using anyway. So
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
So
sad.
I took that out, and not that you can't use it, but it is something that is promoted and is also something that is supported by the ALA, which we don't support the ALA. And Trey Haggard of the Secretary of State said that we don't support the ALA, so that's why I took it out. And I don't think, and I looked at other policies, and it doesn't say, the crew method. Not saying you can't use it, but what I'm saying, it isn't
Maybe
a
instead of
standard.
putting the specific phrase in there, could y'all add how we read?
I did. I
But
put
a little
lot
bit
of stuff in
more
there.
Can I just say
and work
something?
with us.
I think, and I might be I think maybe, ALAs are professional organizations, so they cover a bunch of stuff, almost everything that we do. But I think the crew method was actually developed by the University of Texas. So
Correct, it was.
and I don't think there's any values or norms names in there necessarily.
But
And if
I
it helps
looked
our
through-
directors, why not have that in
Well,
there?
and I looked through some of the crew method, and I didn't like some of the things that it kind of brought a little like, to me. And that might be something that I can bring up in the next meeting as to what parts of the crew method that it kind of red flagged. Now, again, it doesn't mean you can't use it, I'm just not using it as our standard.
Yeah, it's also in our library standards in our booklet.
It's in that other
Yeah.
booklet, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just
Well, I
kind of a
didn't
good
see it in the
guide.
Johnson City thing, so.
it
Well,
may
we're
not
doing a
be-
whole lot more than
So-
Johnson City.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I didn't see it in Johnson City, so I didn't see that it was needed to be in there. And so,
It
So, yeah.
makes the reading easier when you have something like that.
but
I'm not going to.
and you can always take a
See your
look at
thing.
what I did write for reading. And it's something that, again, we can put up for discussion, but I was pretty specific, sorry. I did this in Word and I'm not necessarily very good in Word and I messed it up a few of those things.
Thanks for being here.
I hope you come back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's do this, since this is something that you feel like is important. Let's just look at this also again, of what we need to add, what we don't.
Mhm.
Maybe you can give us some ideas, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. And then if you look through that, it's pretty specific on how to do reading, but it also leaves you guys some leeway as well. And then the censorship and access, it just talks about how the singular obligation of public libraries to reflect within the collection of resources different points of view on controversial or debatable subjects. The SCL upholds the right of individual access and acquire information to ideas and information representing all points of view, even when the content may be controversial.
What
So-
is SCL?
Sumner County Library.
Okay.
Do we need to be there for Sumner County Library Board or Sumner County Library Trustee Board?
Sure, it could be.
And
But I just put
because,
Sumner County
yeah,
Library.
I mean,
But I can put B.
it's understood, but it's,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
fine, yeah. Then this talks about, library materials reconsideration policy. It just talks about how to go about doing it. And it really puts a lot of it into the director, but if the patron's like, well, I don't like that, then they can appeal to the board. And then it talks about how the board receives it, and then the library board will then determine whether the director recommends disposition conforms to the stated policies and proceeds to the Sumner County Public Library. Basis of this determination, the board may vote to grant the appeal. The director will communicate the board's decision and the reason for it in writing to the person who initiated the request for reconsideration at the earliest possible date.
I do have a little idea. When y'all go figure out the reconsideration form, it would be really awesome to have a standard reply letter for us to use that y'all approve of.
Okay. A standard
That's actually a good
reply.
idea.
I will put that on there.
Yeah, there was somewhere I saw, maybe it was in the thing that, yes.
yeah, I've got that, this one. The example
That would make that.
of the
easier.
request from Texas,
Cut, paste template.
and
Give
then
us the
there was a
starting point.
reply letter too.
It seemed
I
like
have
there was
that.
another
Yeah.
one that was blank too that I looked for.
There's,
I think it was in that group of papers that had not really come forward yet.
well, there's,
You know, you
There's-
sent me that stack that
there's
was.
this, request for recreation.
Yeah,
And then
maybe
there is. Okay.
So we
There was a black
need to
one.
make a note of that, and,
I did,
you did.
yeah, there was a black and white, there was a.
Yeah, I saw it somewhere too. So, we got a little ahead of the game, but that's good.
Yeah.
My hope today was to look at those policies, look at this, and then go from there. And I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
And if anyone else would like to go through and do the same thing that Joanna's done to give us an idea, you can use this, or you can do like she's done. And then we can look at these, I'm working on something now myself. We can look at these and, you know, come to consensus of what we can all
Here
agree
it is.
on.
Is this what you're talking about?
No. It was a letter to a Mrs. Canterbury.
Oh, that.
Right here.
Oh, I've got
Yeah.
that, yes. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Because we need something that they can fill out.
That y'all support.
And everybody could, I like that idea.
That's a great idea.
So, let's do this. Where's my agenda? All right, is there anyone else that has anything they want to bring up as far as we've been discussing today? Any questions, any ideas? Okay. So I'd like to, at this point, vote on creation of a new policy. We got to do that. So what I'd like to do is just have a yay or nay vote that we move on, and then we go ahead and get started on this, because we really haven't done anything today but discussion. Do I have a motion for
To
that?
create a new policy
Yes.
for the collection, development,
For,
management.
yes,
Okay.
And also for 2.01, correct?
yes.
So
Well,
board policy-
basically for the new policy that meets the new state policy requirements or criteria. So,
Well, the reason why I say policy 2.01 are, so collection, development, and management,
Internet.
Censorship and
And-
access.
and censorship and access. Is that what you?
basically everything that's coming down under that policy that the state is requiring of us, those items. So, I probably didn't make that clear. So I'll try again.
That's a lot of words, that's why.
Yes, it is. All right, here I go. I'd like a motion for a vote on the new state policy requirements from the state of Tennessee. I don't know any other way to put it, because there's not a real title of that.
Well, yes, it is. A collection development policy with what is it?
Reconsideration.
Reconsideration. I'm looking for the R word.
Yeah.
Can't remember. For collection development policy and reconsideration policy.
Or-
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the notes, and this part's a little bit
Yeah.
long. Could we just, I can change it, but I have to create a new collection development policy that meets the new state requirements, so that would include everything that's already
Exactly.
listed.
Thank you.
Is
Yes.
that what we're trying, I
Yes.
don't want to put any words in
I'll
it.
make a motion to what she said.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to what she just
Do I have a
said.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right.
Jim, you seconded?
I did, yes, I did, thank you.
Can you not type faster?
Doing
Let
good
me
job.
ask you, I want to meet as quickly as possible before we adjourn. Is Wednesdays at this time, and I'll get with you on the,
I have a medical procedure that I'm going to waive for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I won't be available.
okay.
When are you leaving?
Saturday.
This Saturday?
Is this a weekly meeting then?
No.
She said no,
I thought you were dedicated.
Wednesday priorities are priorities.
And now, next week is fall break.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Would Tuesday, the 24th work? We're gonna have a personnel meeting, but we could, I don't know, we could do
But
2 in a day.
you'd like
or
to
one
do it a
in the
little quicker
evening,
than
one
that,
during the
wouldn't you?
day.
Yeah, I'm really wanting to see if we could do it on the third week of October, but you won't be back. Can we Zoom you?
No,
No,
we can't do that.
No.
For discussions you can, but for voting you cannot.
Well, we're not gonna be voting this next time, I can tell you that right now, because listening to this today. So could we just meet that third week on Wednesday the 18th at 11 o'clock? And then if I'll have my little thing ready, and if anyone else.
I want to confirm that I
No,
can actually
wrong.
zoom in.
I was just wondering if we could meet at 11:30. I'm short-staffed that day, and I have a children's program I'm gonna.
That's fine.
Eleven
That's fine. Is that okay?
11:30,
11:30?
yes,
Are
that'll
we
work.
okay with zooming in though? Is that policy?
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
Well, I know that you can't vote.
Well, let's just say right now, we're not gonna be voting. It's gonna be more of a round table
Discussion.
discussion type thing.
Okay, but we're eventually gonna, then do you want to create another one before our November 8th meeting for a vote? Because we have to vote on a policy to present on November 8th.
Well, could we meet on the 18th and discuss, and then
Yeah, and then we'll
combine the
go from
policies
there.
and
Yeah.
personnel meeting, do that one on that 24th that you've got? We could add, I mean, we could meet an hour before, an hour after, before or after. You see what I'm saying?
I'm okay with the 24th.
You've got that.
If we can get it done on the 18th, if we can get our ducks in a row and get everything together, we could.
Well, we could even do November 1st to give it time in between that if we need to. That way the personnel can meet on the 24th and then we can do.
When's our library?
Because you like the Wednesdays. Is the 8th?
The 8th.
Say, okay. What about November 1st for you guys? Does that look okay? At 11:30?
I'll be here.
You're gonna be here. With a working elevator.
Okay. So we have November 18th and November 1st. I mean,
October.
October
October
18th.
18th and
and
11
November-
o'clock and.
11:30.
11:30, I'm
11:30.
sorry. And let's just go with 11:30 on November 1st. That way we'll
Okay.
have it all.
Did you say both
the same.
times, the 11:30?
11:30.
My
Let's just go
library
with-
has a Zoom account if you want me to set up the Zoom.
I have a Zoom.
Let's
Okay.
find out from,
I have a Zoom.
Find out from legal if we
From
can
legal,
do it,
if we can
even
do
if we're
that,
not voting,
just
because
for
that's
discussion.
just to make sure.
Okay. And if
Because I
not-
know you could, then they changed the law back after COVID, you had to
That's
meet
what I'm, that's
you
what I'm
had to
thinking.
meet
I
in
don't think that we
person.
can.
And I don't know about,
well, Steve's
You know,
over here for the.
they will.
So
Our
if,
friends
so my
use
question
Zoom a
here
lot, but
then
they
is
never
if we
vote over
cannot
it.
Zoom with discussion, could we do the 24th?
well, if it's just discussion, we're not voting on it
Yeah.
anyway, and we do need to have a discussion.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if we can't do a Zoom, we can't Zoom me in
I
for
don't wanna leave
discussion.
it too long, cause we're
Yeah.
pushing
I get it, but
for
this is also a
January.
medical thing that I
Yeah.
have to go away for.
I know.
So it's like, I'm not like saying, oh, I can't come because I have a hair appointment or something like that. So,
We understand.
so
Priorities are priorities, right?
So
You might could,
So could we do the 24th? Could we put that as a backup?
Let's put it as a backup. We're
That's
gonna
what I'm
try for the
saying.
18th if we can't do this one.
Correct.
Okay.
But if we can't do the Zoom, will we do the 24th?
Yeah.
Okay. I-
Is
I
that
would
okay with
appreciate
you
that.
guys? No?
I just want to make sure I have it written down.
We're totally confusing you.
Okay, so the discussion for the policies is scheduled for the 18th at 11:30 if we can do Zoom.
Okay.
Yes.
If not, if we can't do Zoom, then it's October 24th at 11:30, and this is just for the discussion of the
well, the personnel
policies.
committee's gonna meet at 11. Do you wanna
We-
bump that to 11:30?
Well, I had not confirmed that because I
Okay.
didn't get everybody's
Yeah.
okays.
Do you
on-
want to bump that to 11:30 and make policies come first, or do you want to do away with the personnel committee and
I'll
replace it
talk
with
with
a policy?
personnel and we'll figure, because I haven't heard all from
Okay.
the personnel. Maybe we can do it in the evening that night. So,
Okay.
so this is important. This is extremely important to get this policy done because we have a timeline
Yeah,
for
we've gotta
this.
get this done by January.
And we already have two meetings set up for personnel. So if it
Okay.
comes down to it, we might only have to
Drop that.
Okay.
drop one.
Then I
That's-
have voting for the policies November 1st.
Yes.
November 2nd.
Hopefully we can, and listen, we had a lot of discussion and I love it because really that's what communication is about. So don't anyone feel like we're mad at each other or anything like that. But I do, if you have something that you want to put together, feel free to do it before we meet the next time. So, any questions, anything, anybody else want to say? Okay, we're going to, I move to ask for someone to move to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, that's my favorite motion, anytime, every time.
Everybody will be like, yes.
Oh, help me turn this off.
We are in agreement.